Hey, what's up everybody? It's Damron. We're playing the LEGO Harry Potter collection, which was a compilation of two older games, the LEGO Harry Potter years 1 through 4 and the one that came out a little bit later, years 5 through 7. The collection brings them all together, and throughout this video series we've been getting all the collectibles. In this particular video we're going to be covering the story missions in year 6, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Obviously, like I've mentioned in all the prior story year collectibles, we are doing this on free play. You know, one of the good things about the years 5 through 7 is, you know, once you have the characters that have the abilities unlocked, the game will pretty much give you everyone you need for that particular level. So if you've been following my guide, we got Arthur in the first year, but obviously we're going to need him in this mission. So starting this mission out, this is right in the beginning of the level. There's 5 gnomes that we need to shoot with any spell. The first one's going to be right beside you next to that pillar in the middle. The second one is kind of heading to the foreground. From that one you saw where I went down, you can see it right up against the side of the road there. Then you're going to have to progress a little bit in order to be able to use this apparition point. Once you're able to use the apparition point, we're going to head to the right hand side, and there's some vines that we're going to have to take out with dark magic. Once you take out those vines with dark magic, you'll see the third gnome sitting right there in this little alleyway. Now once we've got that, we're going to blow up this lock with Reducto. Our fourth gnome is going to be on top of the roof of the garage, so you can see him up there. From that gnome, now we're going to head all the way to the other side of the front of the house. There's going to be a gate that we need to blow up with dark magic, and there's also going to be a vault inside that little room that we're going to need to open with a key character. So again, you should have a key character by this point if you're following my guide as well. So open up the safe, go ahead and shoot that 5th gnome, and we'll get our first character token of year 6. Now we're going to be moving on to the Ravenclaw crest piece. From where we just were, we're going to head back out to the apparition point. Okay, now to the right of that was the alley where we got one of our gnomes. At the end of that alleyway is some spectro specs, so go ahead and put those on. Now we're going to use the apparition point to go back, and right next to the apparition point are some invisible Legos that you can now build that we have our spectro specs. Once you do that, you can use Wingardium Leviosa or whatever spell you want on the kind of cement little truck that it makes, and it's actually going to make a treasure chest that you can shoot and spawn some shears. Use those shears to cut the plants to the left and the right of that front gate entrance, and that will spawn our Ravenclaw crest piece. Alright, so let's go ahead and head back into that little, you know, yard area of the front of the house here. And so this is kind of where we were just a little bit ago. On the left hand side, you'll see a dig spot. So you need to get a character that has an ability to dig. I have Hermione pretty much always with me, so Crookshanks obviously is there as well. So go ahead and dig that up, and you're going to dig up a pink base plate that Hermione can interact with, which will spawn a plant pot. Shoot that plant pot with any spell, and that will spawn a plant to grow out and spit out our next character token. Alright, so from that flower, we're going to head to the right-hand side, and this is why we needed Arthur, a character with a wrench. He's pretty much one of the only ones. Head to the right-hand side, and you're going to find a tractor over here that you can repair with the wrench ability. Once you've repaired that tractor, which, you know, this thing doesn't really handle very well, it's kind of annoying, but there's 5 grass spots that we need to hover over and basically mow in order to get the Gryffindor crest piece. So there's 3 patches of grass on the right kind of side of the yard here, kind of around this little fountain right here. So you can see I'm showing you exactly where they are, because they are kind of hard to see, especially the ones that are kind of closer to the screen, because they're kind of hidden by the hedges of the wall that are at the front of the house. But nonetheless, there's the 4th one, and the 5th one is actually pretty much right where I'm at right now. It's really hard to see because you can see it's so close to the wall, but it's right here. Just kind of keep hovering around this area. Eventually you will, you know, mow it, and once you've mowed all 5 of those, you'll get the Gryffindor crest piece. Moving on into the house itself, we're going to be inside of Slughorn's house. When you get to the second section on the left side, there's going to be a lock on a bathroom door that you can blow up with a dark magic character. Once you've blown that up, immediately on your right hand side is a shower that you can use your Augmenti spell on. So go ahead and fill that up, and when you fill it up, it will launch over the Slytherin crest piece for you to pick up. Still in the bathroom, now we're going to get Dumbledore, one of his characters. On the left side of the room, you're going to see some pots that are up on a shelf. You need to shoot those with any spell, and it'll dump them into this bathtub here. And when it dumps them into the bathtub, it'll spawn pieces that are locked in kind of soap bubbles. So you need to just shoot those soap bubbles. And once you shoot all 3 soap bubbles, which I'm having a little bit difficulty doing, but once you do, you will be able to use any spell in order to build a piece of the toilet that was broken behind Dumbledore. And you don't have to use dark magic on that, by the way. You just have to use dark magic to get into the bathroom. Once you build the toilet piece back, it will spawn Dumbledore, the cursed version, right on the toilet seat after Dumbledore gets up. All right, progressing on into the level just a little bit, we're going to be into the Weasley Wizard Wheezes store. This is pretty cool. I love this store. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to head to the second level, and we need a character with dark magic in order to use it on this rocket that's in the way. So just use your dark magic on that, and it will kind of blow that up. And now we can go behind that and interact with this Weasley box with a Weasley character, which will give us the sticky trainers. Once we have the sticky trainers, now you're going to need to have one character open the mouth on this clown, have the second character just shoot that bullseye behind it, and that will open up this yellow little entryway that'll allow you to get to the right hand side of the building and use those sticky trainers to climb up the wall and get to the third floor of this building. When you're up here, just make your way around and you'll see an apparition point right here. You can just interact with that apparition point, and immediately beside the exit of that apparition point, you're going to see a student in peril in a red box that can be shot with Defendo. So if you use your Defendo spell on it, you'll actually be able to cut that box in half, like we're sawing him in half for a magic trip. And now you're going to have to be able to pull him out or put him back together. So you need to use your Wingardium Leviosa on both the left and the right of now the split box, and it will put him back together, and you have now rescued this student in peril. From that student in peril, we're going to get our last collectible of this level, which is the Hufflepuff crest piece. So just kind of head towards the screen from the student in peril. There's a Defendo wall that we need to use our Defendo spell on. Once you've done that, you will build kind of a bouncy structure, and as soon as you hop on that, it will spawn the crest piece off in the distance. So you just need to bounce on your way to get that Hufflepuff crest piece, and that's all of the collectibles in the first mission of year 6. So let's get progressing on to the second mission in year 6, which is just desserts. This is a pretty fun little level. Again, in free play, it should give you all the characters that you need, assuming that you have them unlocked. All right, so we're going to start the second mission in the 3 broomsticks bar, and the first thing that we're going to be doing is getting 3 mugs and collecting them and putting on the table in the forescreen in order to get the Gryffindor crest piece. So the first mug is right there. You saw me basically just tilt it out of that little barrel that's sitting on the bar. For our second mug, we need to kind of head behind this guy that has the mug symbol above his head, and there's a small door that you can actually break down just by shooting it with any spell. So that's going to be our second mug, so bring that to the table again and place it on these green pieces here. Our third piece is we're going to go up to the second floor to the right, and all the way to the back wall there's a small cabinet on the wall. You can shoot with any spell, it will open, and now you can grab the third mug for us to place on that table. Once you place all 3 mugs on the table, the crest piece will spawn for you to grab. Next up is our first character token of this mission. We're going to stay on the bottom level, head all the way to the back to the fireplace that's back there, and you can use your Augmenti spell on the small little fires that are in that fireplace, and when you take all of them out, it will spawn the character token right there for you to pick up. For our next character token, we're going to stay in the 3 broomsticks bar. We're going to head to the second level now, and we need to have a dark magic character in order to open this doorway that's on the right hand side. So use dark magic on that, head inside, and then all you need to do is jump on the couch that's in here and press A to jump a little bit higher to get our next character token at the top of the couch. After you've grabbed that, now we're going to get our Ravenclaw crest piece, still in the same room here. We need to switch to a character that has a Deluminator spell, so Ron Weasley is generally going to have that. So we can take the light from the above doorway over to the right hand side, and it's going to melt the ice that's on top of this pink base plate that we can now build with Wingardium Leviosa. Use that base plate with Hermione, and it's going to spawn a broom. You don't have to do anything. The broom will automatically fly up into the fireplace and clean it out and give you the Ravenclaw crest piece. Moving on into the second section of the level, which is Slughorn's room, the first thing that we're going to be doing is grabbing a character that has a very strong ability. Head to the back left and you'll see a small cabinet with an orange handle that you can pull if you have a very strong character. Doing so will kind of spawn a wizard hat sitting on the ground here, so you can use Wingardium Leviosa, and it will take that wizard hat and give it to the character that's in the portrait on the back of the wall, and in return, he will reward you with the Slytherin crest piece. After you finish that section, you'll head to kind of the party section of the level. Once you get here, we need to switch to a character that has dark magic. So we're going to use dark magic on this doorway here to head out into the balcony. Once you come out here, now you're going to head to the right hand side and you're going to see a bookcase that you can interact with any character that can interact with bookcases, and Hermione is one of those. When you interact with that, it's going to spawn some pieces out that you can use Wingardium Leviosa on to build, and it's going to build a small creature that will then fly over the balcony and rescue our next student in peril. Still on the same balcony where we rescued our student in peril, now we're going to get the Hufflepuff crest piece, which is very simple. All you need to do is use Wingardium Leviosa on the 5 lights that are on the outer edge of the balcony. So simply go around, interact with all of those, and once you've lit all 5 up, the piece will spawn right in the middle of the balcony for you to grab. Alright, remaining on the balcony, we're going to get our final character token of this level. If you notice, on the left side of the balcony was one of those pink base plates that Hermione can interact with. So go ahead and interact with that with Hermione, and that's going to spawn a piece that you can pick up, and now you can take that back into the party area. So once you kind of go into here, head towards the background, and you're going to see curtains kind of in the back, and that piece that we just grabbed will allow us to open up the curtains on the right side and spawn a XxDAMRONxx machine. So now that we've kind of used Wingardium Leviosa to build that, we can use the XxDAMRONxx machine to grab some XxDAMRONxx. I'm saying that a lot right in a few words. But once you grab that, head to the left-hand side. Right in front of the fireplace are some invisible Lego pieces that you can interact with, and you're going to build a picture frame that's backwards. So you need to use Wingardium Leviosa one more time in order to turn it around. And then you can walk in front of it, and you can wave at the photo just by simply pressing B. And once you wave at the portrait, he will toss out Harry, the Christmas version, for you to just grab. So moving on to the 3rd level in year 6, a Not So Merry Christmas. Again, always playing in free play mode. You're going to need a character that has a wrench in this particular mission, but again, you should have that if you've been following my guide. We got Arthur in the first year. The very first thing that we're going to do at the very beginning of this level is shoot 4 of these golden rubber or yellow rubber duckies. 2 are immediately on your left, 1 is immediately on your right, and the 4th is kind of in the background in this small little water tub. You just need to shoot that with any spell. It'll kind of explode, and the Ravenclaw crest piece will spawn for you to grab. Still in the same room, we're going to get the Slytherin crest piece by grabbing a character that has dark magic. With that character, just head to the left-hand side of the shed, and you'll see a TV that has 2 red antennas on top of it. You need to use dark magic on those antennas. Now, it can be a little bit finicky. You may have to move around a little bit in order to, get the prompt to interact with those antennas, but just move around until you can get it, and when you do, you'll get the Slytherin crest piece. Once you get outside of that and you're eventually kind of outside of the Weasley house with all of the fire in the background, as soon as you come outside, there's going to be a light that you can interact with the Deluminator spell if you have Ron or any Weasley character. And we're going to take that light to the central kind of lantern that's right in the center of the field out in the yard here. And when you do, the flower will spawn and allow you to kind of take the air up and grab that character token. Also, in the back of this yard area is a small little shed that you need to use a very strong character to break the door on. Once you break the door off with a very strong character, now we can grab the XxDAMRONxx that are in there. Once you have the XxDAMRONxx on, just go to the central portion of the yard and you'll see some invisible Lego pieces that you can now craft with your Wingardium Leviosa spell. That'll allow you to pick up this kind of handle that you can take beside that little shed that had the XxDAMRONxx and place it on this printer. Then you can use Wingardium Leviosa on that kind of handle, and it will spawn out our next character token right in front for you to grab, Molly Weasley. Progressing on a little bit, you're going to eventually kind of cross over this larger fire into this second area where the basketball hoop is, and you can see this kind of animal tunnel. All right, so you're going to have to come here as part of just the level. Once you get here, use Wingardium Leviosa to fix the top portion of the animal tunnel, and then you need to use a character that can dig, Fang or Crookshanks or whoever, in order to dig up the opening to that tunnel. Once you open that up, now we can take an animal up through the tubing and allow us to knock out the basketball, and that'll be right beside the basketball hoop. Now we can use Wingardium Leviosa on the basketball, which will allow us to make a shot and then spawn the Hufflepuff crest piece right where the basketball hoop was. Progressing on just a little bit further, once you've built the flying machine, okay, once you've built this, head to the left hand side and you're going to be able to use the machine to put out these large flames, and that's allows us to go even further to the left. Once you get over further to the left, there's a small wagon that you need to use a character that has a wrench ability like Arthur to repair this small wagon or this carrot shooter. And essentially once you repair it, it's going to shoot some carrots into the sky. It's going to knock a Death Eater out of the sky and rescue the student in peril that was hiding right there underneath that wood. Progressing on a little bit further into the next section of the game, once you are here, you're going to know you're here. Okay, you're going to use some shears to kind of cut down some bushes. Once you've done that, we're going to head all the way to the right hand side. We're actually going to be going north a little bit where the fight is in the background, but before we do that, head all the way to the right and you're going to see a dig spot next to a small tree stump. Use a dig character to dig up that dig spot and we'll be able to grab our final character token of the mission. Now for the last collectible of this mission, we're going to be getting the Gryffindor crest piece. I've kind of cleared out this area a little bit, but as you're progressing through this area, before you go into the area where you see Weasley and Harry up there fighting, if you go up there, you're going to trigger the final cutscene of the level. So before you go up there, dig up this dig spot right here, which is going to dig up some Spectro Specs. Now you can put those on, head back a little bit to the invisible Lego pieces that will actually pump the water out of this small little creek here to the left. And now that that water's gone, you can jump on the apparition point and use that to get to the safe that you can see in the background. Once you get back there, use your Lumos spell to take away the vines that are hanging onto the vault, and now we can switch to a key character to open it up and get our Gryffindor crest piece and our final collectible of the third mission in year 6. So we're moving on to the fourth mission in year 6, which is Love Hurts. So we're making our way. We've kind of crossed the halfway point with our story missions in year 6. So we're moving on again in free play mode. It should give you all the characters that you need at this point. So as soon as you start this mission, right in the very beginning, you can see in the background below the portrait is a portion of wall that can be shot with Reducto. So go ahead and get your Reducto spell out and shoot that, and it's actually going to spawn a key vault, door. So switch to a character that has the key ability, open up that vault, and we're going to grab the Ravenclaw crest piece right there. Still in the same room, we're going to get our first character token of the mission. On the right hand side is a chest that you can interact with a very strong character to open. Once you open that up, it will spawn some skeleton pieces that you can build with Wingardium Leviosa. That skeleton will then play a nice piece for you on the piano, and after you listen to that piece, he will spawn the first character token of the mission for you to grab. After you are, turning these knobs in order to get one of the pieces that you need to progress into the mission, you'll notice that the fireplace has some small fires that you can now put out with your Augmenti spell. So you can put out those fires with the Augmenti spell, and now it will make the fireplace a diggable spot. So let's go ahead and get Crookshanks out. We'll dig up that spot, and it'll give us Ginny Weasley character token in the fireplace. Progressing on in the mission a little bit, you're going to eventually be in the bathroom section of the mission. The first thing that we're going to do here is switch to a character that has very strong ability, and you can see this sink right here with the orange handle that you can use very strong to break the sink off the wall, and then you can use the fountain to launch yourself up and get the Hufflepuff crest piece. Still in the bathroom, now we're going to switch to a character that has a dark magic ability, and we're going to head all the way around to the kind of back side of the bathroom, and you'll see a wagon back there. You have to use dark magic in order to get that wagon to get out of the way, and once you do that, this student in peril will just kind of be in the back of that hall next to some urinals. You don't have to shoot or anything, just walk back there and you'll rescue that student in peril. Also in the same area, again, you'll have to use dark magic to get back here, but once you're back here, switch to Ron and get your Deluminator spell out, and we're going to pull the light off of the light that's just above those urinals on the right hand side of the bathroom, and now we're going to take that all the way to the very beginning of this bathroom section where you'll see another light that you can put the Deluminator light on, and when you do that, it will light up the lights around this mirror and spawn the suit version of Draco for you to grab. All right, so moving on to the next section of the level, the Room of Requirements. So you're going to have to do a couple things in order to get to this first section that I'm at right here. There's going to be an area with something you have to break with a very strong character. But essentially, there are 3 small little kind of birdhouses almost that we have to interact with a variety of ways. The first one was right there, and you're going to have to use a repair character to repair it. The second one is just to the left of the portrait that's holding the Slytherin crest piece, so just keep that in mind. We're going to come back to that. And the third one, after you have built the kind of orchestra that breaks the wall, and again, you're going to have to do all these things to progress the mission, so don't think, you know, oh, I'm not sure where I'm at, I'm going to miss it. You're going to have to do that, and eventually, right after you break that one, the third one that you need to use Wingardium Leviosa is right there on the right, and then the crest piece will spawn right there on it. Sometimes it's a little harder to grab. You just kind of like get close to it. Once you've grabbed that, head back to the left where the guy was with the Slytherin crest piece in the portrait. To the left of that is a harp that you can play only with dark magic. If you play it with dark magic, it'll make him go to sleep and launch the Slytherin crest piece out on the floor for you to grab. So that's actually going to wrap it up for the 4th mission. We are on to the 5th mission, the second to the last mission in year 6. So we're on Felix Felicis. Again, we're always playing in free play mode. If you've been following this guide, you should already have everybody that you need in order to get everything in this level. The first thing that we're going to be doing in this mission is right in the very beginning, we're going to be getting the Gryffindor crest piece by interacting with 5 golden flowers in the very beginning of this level. The first one is in the right. You can see it just elevated a little bit. And then if you go straight ahead, there's one on the right hand side of this hallway, and the other one's on the left of this large flower that we're going to actually have to move. You may have to destroy the things to the left to get back there, because that green kind of acid like spray will push you back. So if you can't get to that 3rd flower, you may have to destroy the bush over there to get there. Once you've destroyed that, move the items in front of the right greenhouse in order to get inside, and you're going to see the 4th golden flower kind of on the right wall up a little bit. So once we've done that, head back outside. Now we're going to go into the left greenhouse. To do that, we're going to need to go to this gate here, use Loomis on these kind of vines, and once you do, they'll go away. And then we're going to go to the left, and we're going to be able to use Wingardium Leviosa on this kind of herbicide here to take the weed off of the door. Once you've done that, you can go in, and the 5th golden flower, it's kind of hard to see because it's kind of at the top. You can barely see it up there, but you should get an interaction to use Wingardium Leviosa on that. Once you've done all 5, you'll get your Gryffindor crest piece. Still in that left greenhouse, if you go to the left hand side, just sitting right in there is a safe that we can open as long as you have a key character. So use a key character on that safe, and that'll give you the Slytherin crest piece. Still in that left-sided greenhouse. Now we're going to go to the right of the intersection. So go all the way around, and you should see a SpectroSpecs machine that is kind of has some silver pieces around it. So you need to shoot all those silver pieces off with Reducto, and when you do, then you'll be able to use the SpectroSpecs machine, grab some of those fancy glasses, head back outside, and just outside the door of the left-sided greenhouse are some invisible pieces that we can build what looks like a small little birdhouse structure on the wall there. Once you've built that, of course, what we do with everything that we just build, we're going to shoot it and then break it. So shoot the small little legs, and it'll fall on the ground. Shoot it again on the ground, and that'll spawn Professor Sprout. Moving into the next section of the level, so you're going to progress into this kind of forest area. Then the first thing that we're going to get is our next character token, which is Hagrid. So right in the beginning of this area, if you go down the path, you'll see 2 boulders on the right hand side that you need to blow up with dark magic. Once you've blown up those with dark magic, now you can switch to Hermione and interact with this pink base plate. When you interact with that base plate, it's going to spawn just a crate of fruit. Simply shoot that crate of fruit, and that'll give us Hagrid. From where we got Hagrid, you're going to be progressing up this empty trunk to kind of get to the upper section of the forest. You'll see a cutscene. But the first thing that you're going to do when you get up here, right next to this kind of overturned cauldron, there is a kind of mole rat animal, and he'll be sticking out of the ground. Essentially, you're going to need to shoot him 4 times. Every time you shoot him, he'll go down the ground, and he'll come up somewhere else. Once you shot him the 4th time, you'll be able to get the next character token, which is Fang, but it's also going to pop the cauldron out in order for you to interact with that cauldron. So from where we got Fang, now we're going to head to the left a little bit. You don't need to do the cauldron yet, but just head to the left hand side, and you'll see some more of those rocks that you need to use dark magic on in order to explode. When you destroy all 3 of those, it's going to reveal a dig spot that we can dig up. So we're going to whip out our good old Crookshanks, and we're going to dig up that dig spot, and it's going to put some pieces on the ground that now we can use Wingardium Leviosa on in order to build a kind of wooden mannequin. After you've built that, the Ravenclaw crest piece will spawn right above it for you to grab. Now we're going to grab our Hufflepuff crest piece still out in this forest area. There are 3 black and red vines that we're going to have to interact with dark magic. The first one is right beside us where we just interacted in order to get our last character token. So once you've got that, head all the way to the top where Hagrid is next to this dead spider. Behind the spider is our second set of black and red vines that we need to use dark magic on. Once you've done that, head to the right hand side. There's a dig spot as well as another set of vines right behind that you need to interact with, and once you've done all that, you'll get your Hufflepuff crest piece. Still in the same area where we got our Hufflepuff crest piece, now we're going to get our next student in peril. You need to use a Weasley character in order to interact with this Weasley box, which is going to spawn a small green canister that you're going to use Wingardium Leviosa on, and it's going to build a small little thing that you can now pull a barrel out of with Wingardium Leviosa, which housed the student in peril, which will now be rescued, and that is the final collectible in the 5th mission of year 6. So we are moving on to the final mission in year 6, which is the Horcrux and the Hand. This is a very fun mission. As always, we're playing in free play mode, so let's go ahead and get started. Right in the very beginning of the mission, this is right from the start, we're going to go ahead and switch to a character that has dark magic, and instead of using the apparition point, we're actually going to head to the right hand side, kind of around the back wall of this cave, and you should see a plant-like structure stuck in the wall that you can use dark magic on, and it will kind of pulsate, and eventually it'll explode, and it'll spawn our next character token. Still in this initial area, we're going to switch to Hermione, and we're going to use this apparition point, which is going to put us on this central island here. On this central island is also a pink base plate that we can interact with Hermione, and when you do that, it's going to spawn a small bucket that you can use Wingardium Leviosa on. When you use Wingardium Leviosa on it, it'll put some fish into the water that are eventually going to help you out. You're going to feed the fish, so in return, they will launch out the Ravenclaw crest piece for you to grab. So you just switch back to your other character, head back over there, and grab that piece. Progressing into the second section of this level, just into the next area from where we were. This is a cave area. There are 5 crystals that we're going to need to use Wingardium Leviosa on. From right where you start, just straight down toward the screen is our first one. The second one is after you build a bridge. It's just across that bridge. You can see it right here in the wall. You need to get those 2 before you fall down right here, because you cannot go back up after you've fallen down. So keep that in mind. After you fall down, the third one's going to be right in front of you. The fourth one is just to the right, kind of up in these piles of crystals, so use Wingardium Leviosa on that. And the 5th one is all the way to the right hand side, the open area, just next to the water, up in some larger crystals, will be our 5th little Lego stud that we need to interact with. Once you've built crystals out of all 5 of those, you'll get your Gryffindor crest piece. Also in this area, we can get our Slytherin crest piece by getting a character that is very strong. On the right hand side of this room is an orange handle attached to that snake there. So if you use a very strong character, you'll pull that down, break the snake, and spawn the Slytherin crest piece. Moving to the next section of the level, when you're in the large central island, there are 3 rocks that we're going to need to interact with dark magic in order to get our next character token. The first one is in the central area, just in the back, so you can see that. So make sure you have a dark magic character. And then there's going to be these platforms that are lit up right here on the right. I'll show you again on the left, and you'll know this because you've done it. But when you stand on those 2 light platforms, the way to the right hand side will open, and the second of the rocks that we need to use dark magic on is tucked in there, as well as the piece that you need to get in order to progress the level. So again, you're going to have to do this in order to progress the levels, but just so you know, it's just like this, right? So those were the 2 lit up platforms you stand on with the characters on the right hand side, same with the left. And once you open up the left, the third and final boulder that we can use dark magic on is in there, so use dark magic on all 3 in order to get Tom Riddle. Progressing on into the next stage of this level, you're going to be at the Hogwarts, right? Everything's kind of on fire. The first thing that we're going to do is switch to Ron, and we're going to use our Deluminator spell in order to grab the light from that lantern that's just sitting on the ground. And we're going to take that down the hill. You can kind of take that in the direction where you can, see Snape and Bellatrix in the background kind of fighting. But on the left-hand side, there's a lamp that we can now transfer that light to with the Deluminator spell, and that'll cause it to flip over and make it the vines that are on that barrel kind kind of go away. So once that's done, now we can use Wingardium Leviosa on the barrel in order to spawn our final crest piece of year 6, which is the Hufflepuff crest piece. Moving on, you're going to have to use this machine here on the stairwell to get some large fire out of the way. And as you're heading down where Bellatrix and Snake are kind of right in front of Hagrid's house, instead of going to them, hang right a little bit or kind of more towards the screen, and you will see a Death Eater that is kind of holding a student in peril hostage. You just need to shoot that Death Eater, and eventually he'll make a face at you or whatever, but you will save the student in peril, so last laugh is for us. So once you save that student in peril, there's only one more thing that we have to get in year 6, and that is our final character token, which is the wedding version of Hagrid. So as you're heading towards Hagrid's house, you will be prompted to enter a duel with Snape. Do not do that because that will trigger the final battle and end this level. Before we fight him, we need to head behind him where you can see a kind of crate with an orange handle that we can pull with a very strong character. Pulling that with a very strong character will make it break and spawn our final character token, which is Hagrid in year 6. So that's all of the house crests, all of the character tokens, all of the students in perils throughout the story missions in year 6. So I hope you guys found that helpful. As always, we're making our way through the Lego Harry Potter collection. This has been a blast to play through. I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you guys like my stuff, as always, feel free to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I should have everything time-stamped and linked for this and all of the other Lego Harry Potter missions. So hopefully I'll see you in those videos, and I'll see you around.